So on my way out to the Reefton Spur, one of the, in my opinion, best roads in northeast Victoria, well, East Victoria, East Melbourne. It's a beautiful cup day, so we're out here, out behind the Sylvan Dam, taking the little more scenic route to Reefton Spur. Don't like just going along the Warby Highway, it's a bit boring, and not a fan of the Black Spur to get on the other side, so no, it's a bit crowded in that area. So we're out here chilling, taking it pretty easy. Super conscious of how much space I have on the GoPro SD card, because I only got a 32 gig one at the moment. So I won't record the entire trip out there. Didn't even start recording at the store. Started the recording when I first left. That I've already deleted. Just to test. Microphone was working and it's working. Don't know how it's going to go once we get a bit more wind noise. But we'll see. So probably going to record for 5-10 minutes just on my way out, fill up with petrol, and then record as much as I can, at least one way on the Spur. Get a few, maybe a minute or two of just pure riding footage with no commentary, just to chuck up. Make my friends that weren't riding today a little bit jealous. I forget where the turn off is for the little bit more interesting road. Just because this road is obviously, it's basically just a straight. I think I turned off a bit too early for the fun little twisty roads that are out the back of Sylvan and Monbulk, heading down towards Yarra Junction. Yeah, so this is Victoria, Australia, for people that didn't pick up on my accent. Yeah, so we're now, I know this intersection is notorious. I'm supposed to be coming down here. That's where I wanted to be coming from, and that's where I want to go. So we're now out at the Spur. Not going to push too hard just yet. Need to get a better idea of whether the road's clear or there's a lot of debris. It is notorious for getting a fair chunk of debris, but yeah, we'll just go through at a fairly cruisy pace. Yeah, the Spur's got to be, when it's clear, one of the best roads I've ridden on. I know there's those mountains in California that's really popular in the States. There's some really popular roads in Tasmania, but Reefton had to be my go-to on a weekend, just because little lower powered bike, these short and sharp corners, constant turns, just a bit funner, you know. If you don't have a big bike, the long winding corners can get a bit boring, because you can't really push yourself. Yeah, so in a couple of minutes I'll pause the recording and then record again, so that way I can get just a pure clip. The only reason I'm doing pausing it and unpausing it is so I know when it is. You know, no commentary, just good old-fashioned riding. I've been riding just almost 4 years now. Still on a lamb's license in Australia, so we have a scheme. So if you don't know, first, so you get your learner's permit, which is basically like not a probationary license, but like you're really restricted in what you can do. So you have that for a minimum of 3 months, maximum of 15, at least in Victoria. And then you go for your full license after that, which involves sort of 2 days of testing. Well, it's 3.5 hours spread over 2 days. Then for the next 3 years, once you pass your last test, you're restricted to, can't remember the horsepower, like it's horsepower per kilogram. I think there is a flat horsepower limit too. Pretty much anything above 650 is more or less a no-go, minus a few specific bikes that have been specifically tuned for the Australian market. So the MT-07 has a restricted version that's approved in Australia, but the stock standard one that you get, you know, in the States or something like that would be counted as what they call the high output version, which basically hasn't been touched to fit the learner approved scheme in Australia. Yeah, so like the R7, when it comes out, we'll have one. I'm really disappointed the Tenere didn't get one, although it's because I want to get into adventure riding, so it's definitely on the list of bikes I want to own. It's probably actually, it's looking like it's going to be the next bike I own, especially with the R6 out of production, or at least road going is out of production. Not that like the R7 looks great, but I don't know if I'm going to get a Tenere. I'm getting the same engine, and I've got the R3. The R3 has been it's not my first bike. I had an XT250 first, but the R3 has been a great bike to learn on. I didn't do a whole much riding until I got the R3. Like I did a fair few Ks on the XT, but I think in the first month of having the R3 I actually had more Ks on it than the XT had full stop. And I was, well, third owner, but the first two owners would absolutely like, you know, I think 900 Ks between them on the XT when I bought it, so I put another 3,000 or 4,000 on it. Yeah, I bought the R3 about a year after I bought the XT, and the XT can't, not gathered dust, but even as a dual, like I used it as a dual sport a fair bit when I did use it, but ended up selling that for a WR450, so something a bit more enduro specific. Do need to trailer it out, but that's not the worst thing in the world. Love all types of riding, like, you know, done one track day, well, wasn't a super intensive track day because it was actually right after I bought the R3 Yamaha, so I bought the 2018 model just as they'd announced the 2019, so I got a sweet deal on it. But there was a track day that Yamaha was doing to advertise, you know, a few of their newer model bikes, and I don't know how I drew the lottery ticket to get invited to that, but yeah, so I took the newer model R3, which anyone that's ridden both the first gen and second gen R3 would know that the only thing is a bit of a facelift on the front dash, and that's more or less it, and the front fairings. It's the same frame, same engine, same rear subframe. Yeah, so I was happy to save nearly $2,000 to go to the 2018 model than buy brand new, than buy a 2019, because the salesman joked about it. He said, oh, you want to wait a week because we're getting the 2019 models in. And I was like, oh no, he's like, good, because we want to get the 2018s off the floor. And as soon as he said that to me, I said, well, can you do me an extra $500 off? And he went, yep, sure. Yeah, I am definitely not the best rider you'll see, but I'm safe. Like, I've had one minor, well, I say minor, but it could have been major very easily. Geez, the road's a bit trashed here. One minor accident on the road. Had a, good dozen on the dirt, but those you walk away from 10 times easier than like, I've crashed 4 or 5 times on the same day in the dirt, and bike's not even worth. Oh, it's a little bit of damage on the WR at the moment that it's more or less unnoticeable. But yeah, so get back to the R3. Great bike, put 4,000 Ks on it in a month. Slowed down since, because too much of a good thing and all that. Yeah, so I'm gonna yeah, it was just, I had the month off, so I was just like, you know what, put in a whole bunch of Ks, and that was all she wrote. Great bike, no complaints, obviously, other than a little bit of lack of power, but that's what you get with a beginner bike. It's the whole point of a beginner bike, is to be a bit lacking in power. It's easy to throw around, and just toss around. So anyway, just in case I run out of space and I don't have any more time to record, thanks for watching the first video. My plans for this channel are sort of just have a bit of fun riding, talk a little bit about life, talk a little bit about bikes, all aspects of riding. So like I said, eventually a Tenere, and further down the track, a dedicated track bike. And some enduro riding, because like I said, got the WR450, need to make use of that. Great bike, great thing to ride. Alright, so thanks for watching. I'm going to record some straight up riding.